in the middle of a firestorm in media around talking about and recounting the circumstances that you found yourself in living with your cousin. So you went to live with your cousin. At the time you went to go live with him, did you think that he was gay? Did you know he liked men, young boys, allegedly? I have to throw that in there so I don't get sued. But did you know about his sexuality or his sexual predicate?
That's a really good question. I think my stepfather did. And it seems to me the way my brother called I don't know, I feel like I'm gonna give this away in my documentary, but I'm gonna give it to you now. I learned how to jack off at house. My brother's in the bed right here, and my other cousin, Tony, is right here. I have no reason to lie on anybody, because this shit is about my truth. But I'm asking, why the fuck are you teaching a 5 or 6 year old how to jack off? Now that I'm older, now I'm a 35-year-old man, I'm saying, okay, they were probably priming me. Okay. Now they're coming back over to pick me up a little bit more often, and before I know it, my brother's doing shit to me. Before I know it, I'm at house. So I think my stepfather kind of was curious about what was really, what MO was, to each his own. I mean, I'm not here to, nor do I want my legacy to be about my cousin. There's all kind of fucked up people in the family. People do all kind of fucked up shit. The thing is this, I just hate that. We can say that later, but yeah, keep going.
Who was teaching you how to masturbate? Was it your stepdad or?
No, it was my cousin and my brother, and I'm in the bed. So, okay. But I'm not looking at it as is it a bad thing? I know they, that's what nieces, that's what cousins and stuff like. I get it. That's what they do, but I just didn't understand why that was happening at house. I'm probably like 5 or 6, Jay.
And so did you feel like that when you look back on it now? I mean, as you're a kid, you probably don't understand it, but when you look back at it, did you think that was like the early stage of grooming potentially?
Completely.
And so when we did the interview with you, you talked about the grooming that continued with and then it evolving into full-blown sexual activity. And so I want, if you can, and I know you've been very vocal about it, you've shared it, share some of the details that you want to share about those encounters, because I think you said he performed oral sex on you, correct? And then forced you to have anal sex with him?
You got a pretty good memory. Yeah, I don't want to really get into too many details, but it was very graphic, and my experiences that I had with my cousin, with a few people in the house. I don't really want to. It's not a hit piece, but at the same time, that's what they do. That's how they move. But I tell you right now, let somebody do that to my kid, I will fucking blast their fucking brains out in broad daylight.
But I don't think it's a hit piece. Let me tell you why. Because I don't need you here to do a hit piece. I could do that all day long. The reason why I have you here is because when we talked back in 2007, the time has changed. And I feel a couple things. One, as somebody who's now been speaking very public about his own child molest and naming the people and talking about my experiences, we do live in an era where Me Too, Time's Up, has existed and protected women. It's been a veil of protection for women. But I feel like when it comes to men, they're made a mockery. They're called gay. You've had all that happen to you. And they're disrespectedly disregarded. And the people that they accuse don't even get interviewed. And so I've been very vocal and a champion of you getting justice over the years. So that's why I asked you the question.
No, I mean, you know how deep this shit can go. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not here on this earth to serve any devils, nor will I stand by and try to protect any of these people. If you hurt somebody, you need to rectify that. You know what I mean? But yeah, the game is different. I feel like for men, it's something that they want to hide, but I feel like a lot of men have been abused and molested. And I personally, I'm excited to do this documentary. It's not about that. It's about my life. But we're hiring some of the best doctors because I'm still trying to understand who did that to that person. Why would that person really want to do that? I personally don't have that desire to want to mess and fondle with a kid. You know what I mean? So I just don't understand it. Probably would never understand it, and I'm just a small piece of it. I was like, everybody wasn't built for this. So I know my testimony that the enemy has tried to get me to smear, or tried to water me down and dim my light. It's inevitable that I have this platform because this is what I was put on this earth to do.
Recently, you posted a note about the other people in your group, and you said, "I just found out certain members of B2K got me blocked. I just fed your kids, nigga. They must be protecting pedophiles." Is not talking about the details or not wanting to continue the pursuit of justice protecting them too?
It's a good question. You talking about for them?
Well, I mean, no, for you, for all of you. I mean, I know when I was on Love and Hip Hop, Omarion wasn't in any scenes with me, and that came right after I had interviewed you. I know that, Fizz and people get uncomfortable when I come around. I think Fizz and people get uncomfortable when I come around because I did do that interview and I know what you said. But for you, if you're not talking about it and you're not continuously trying to pursue justice, isn't that a form of protection?
That's a good way to look at it. I've actually went down that road to try to do that. it just started taking me somewhere else. I'm bigger than that. I went to China for 7 years. I was selling records for $18,000, $10,000. Michael Jackson asked me before I died. He asked me who owns the name B2K. I went and bought the name. I went and found the promoter, brought the money to the table. I couldn't do all of that stuff if I'm still constantly stressed out trying to go through court and fight some shit that it's like he say, she say. So yeah, I think in a way it is kind of like a form of protection, but not really, because at the end of the day, it's my life and I spoke my truth, and I'm looking to move past it, not to harpist on it. Every time I do an interview, who wants to talk about fucking fuck out of here? But it's like until that monkey or that elephant is addressed, I feel like documentary is going to really allow for me to be vindicated in a great way.
Now, I'm going to interject here. My name is Honey K, if you don't know. And I just want to say, after he was talking about, protecting, is he protecting his perpetrator? And we're going to stay on the topic of boys, the trauma that boys go through sexually, that type of abuse. And I don't know what that's like. I'm a girl, but I don't want to expose my rapists or molesters either. And the people who perverted me as a kid, like, I have no desire to do that. I don't feel like it'll make me feel better. I don't, just at no point do I want to see them in jail or fined, or I feel like it'll make it worse to bring stuff up like that. So I can relate to what Raz was saying there. And Jason goes on to ask if he feels vindicated without going through the justice process. And Raz says yes. And I feel Raz. I feel the same way. I feel vindicated even though that hasn't happened. And I feel like Raz, I don't know enough. But from the little that I know, I feel like only because they're talking about it in this interview, of course you're going to be upset, but I don't feel like it's bothering him on a daily, It's just the topic at hand. So, yeah, he's going to sound upset about it. And, like Raz, I don't need that justice process to take place. I don't want that. But later in the interview, Jason points out how not holding them accountable does hold RazB back. He got kicked off the tour. They accused him of lying and made him look crazy. He was casted for Love and Hip Hop. I didn't know that, but he didn't get to do it. So I think for him, for RazB, it may be good for him to do that, go through the justice process because of the industry he's in. And me, however, no, I don't want to, because I don't want to open that can of worms. I don't want to relive those things. It's not that I'm running from it, but I'm over it. I was totally in the past. It's not something I think about. But I am open to the idea that it could be holding me back in some regard. But I nor the world will ever know if that's the case or not. And there's a quote. History is like a rock. You can't swim if you're holding it. But I can't swim anyways, and I don't swim anyways. But if you're a swimmer, then this applies to you. Okay, let's listen to the next couple of clips.
Because I still carry it. Yeah, I still carry it. You know what I'm saying? I still carry it. I have these crazy ass thoughts in the back of my mind. It's be like, thank God I know God.
Are you gonna talk about the alleged molest by Marcus Houston?
Of course.
I feel like in many ways he's been taken out. He's been let off the hook, right?
Marcus, I mean, them niggas is foul over there, my nigga. And anybody that worked with him, you're fucking foul for working with him.
Well, let me say this. I had Kay Michelle on the show, and she was talking about the abuse around R. Kelly, the alleged abuse around R. Kelly, and she was saying that there were a lot of people, including mothers of the girls in the kitchen cooking while this was all happening. Were there a lot of people around when the molest was happening?
I'm pretty sure there's people that suspected certain things. I'm pretty sure.
Did anybody ever ask?
Not that I knew of. Because when you're around there, I mean, I think Chris Brown posted on Instagram. He said, "How come you wasn't complaining when the money was coming in, homo thug?" Well, when a person's actually
wait. I remember that tweet, and I called Chris Brown the night he did that. I was walking through New York City when I saw that because that tweet bothered me. What was your reaction when you saw it?
Well, I was just really just at the house just clowning, tweeting Rihanna because I just thought it was funny just tweeting her songs. And then maybe I took it a little too far.
Okay, now I'm just going to go all over the place, but one part that I want to say right now is a part of my commentary, and this is more tea than anything, but it's funny that he brought up Jhené Aiko because I don't know how often people relate her to B2K, but yeah, cause she's an individual, she's a solo artist, but I remember I saw a video of her when she was younger, and she was with B2K, and it's when they were young and new, and she was saying how she hopes to have fans like theirs one day. Everybody may have known this, and everybody may know everything that I'm discussing in this podcast. But for me, that just validated his statements because I was like, oh, I don't know how many people associate her with them. Anyway, I also feel what Raz is saying when he said that he told his brother, but he felt like his brother had a part in it. He felt like his brother was in on it and knew about it, and that's how it is. It's just like it just feels like, who can I trust, and what is going on in this world, and is everybody against me? Like, am I on the Truman Show? I'm constantly asking, am I on the Truman Show? And on the claim that Marcus Houston molested him, child, everybody may be privy to this tea, but I had no idea when. And I'm asking when because this is something that excuses nothing. But when they have a 4-year age difference, I have to wonder, so was Marcus Houston still a child or young and dumb? Did he view him as in the same age range? But the victim is the victim and the perpetrator is still the perpetrator, so does it matter? It does to me, maybe not to you. It's not an excuse, but for me, it's less sinister, but still disgusting and wrong if it was molestation. Now, later in the interview, he says, you had sex with me. So that's different. Did he coerce him into sex? Did he blatantly and aggressively rape him? Does it matter? Again, it does to me. I did a podcast called The Different Levels of Rape, and I encourage you to go listen to it. And for you, it may be all equally awful, but for me, details matter. Different types of rape affect different people differently, is all I'm saying. So I invite you to drop in and listen to that podcast. It was called The Different Levels of Rape. In that podcast, I also referenced a movie called Wolf that you can find on Prime Video or Prime Movie, whatever it's called. And I recommend watching that movie. It's hard to watch, especially it was hard for me to watch, but it's on this topic. A topic that is under discussed but a prominent issue. And this podcast, if you've never listened before, it's about human behavior. So never am I focusing on judging human behavior. I'm focusing on understanding it. So some may say perpetrators of heinous crimes don't deserve understanding, but I think they do. It doesn't excuse them, okay? I want to understand humans and their behaviors, period. Anyways, I started researching more and more, and this podcast is literally, I'm going to talk about my thoughts as I was watching it and the revelations I came through as I came to them. So right now speaking, I know more, but this is just me going through my notes as they accumulated. So I was researching more and more, and apparently it was actual anal, R-A-P-E. Okay, I try not to say that word. So let's just be clear. Molest is when you assault or abuse someone sexually. It usually refers to everything that isn't sex, okay? Taking photos or videos without their will, touching someone's private areas without their will. And then RAPE is oral, anal, or vaginal sex without the victim's consent. So I get a little tripped up because sometimes he says they molested me. Like, I just want those definitions to be clear. And consent can start at the age of 15 with someone no more than 4 years older than you and free of alcohol and drugs, at least in America. And with actual RAPE, age matters not to me, okay? When I thought this was molestation, I was saying that age matters. When it comes to RAPE, no. I don't care if we the same age. If I did not consent to what you're doing, then I didn't consent. It's one thing if we're both kids and you started touching me because someone touched you, or if you're doing to me, you know, a boy a couple years younger than you, what a boy a couple years older than you did to you to me, then okay, that's just a different case. It's kind of like trauma cycling down from generation to generation. I view that differently than RAPE. Because forcing someone to have sex with you, okay, no. Now, Chris Stokes was in the room apparently when this whole thing was going down with Marcus Houston. So my question was like, was he forcing Marcus Houston to do it? Was Marcus just all messed up in the head? It seems like it. He's still wrong though. And the understanding of why you did it doesn't excuse or omit you from the consequences. I just want to know, was he being forced to do it? Because if he was, does RazB know that? Does he care? I kind of think, as I was doing my research, that at one point, you know, Raz didn't blame Marcus Houston. He blamed Chris Stokes because he was the adult. And then now that Marcus Houston is still mad cool with Chris Stokes, like he was in his wedding, etc., I think that now he's like, okay, well, if you still cool with this man, then you must have liked it. Like, you must have been cool with it. I hold you equally accountable. Because now that you're a grown adult and you still cool with this man, I can't rock with you. So now I think that's why he's blaming Marcus for what he did when he was younger. And I think many people are familiar with this story more than me. I never heard or researched the topic until 2021. Okay, Black History Month. Okay, and as I'm researching, you know, for this podcast, I'm realizing this is old news, like 10 years, 8 years old, that most people know. If not, then I'll link an article in the description of my YouTube video on YouTube, KAY Honey. And some people feel bad for Marcus Houston, okay? His mom was dying when it happened. He was forced He was forced to RAPE them. He was probably RAPE'd himself. And it's all just sad, disgusting, and perverted. And I want all these men to find closure if they haven't. Apologies are definitely in order. They all should privately have some deep discussions, like with the therapist there, not to make up and be friends, but to confess to each other, apologize to each other, and overall find closure. It's going to take a few sessions, of course, maybe several. And most people don't view it like that. They like to make people, you know, complete monsters in their head. Like, no, I'm not going to therapy with you. I don't want to talk to you about it. I don't want to forgive you. Or even if I want to forgive you, I don't want to forgive you to your face. I don't owe you that. But it's for you. And it's easier to punish people that way. Like in that episode of Black Mirror, Man on Fire, where the man was given a chip in his head to see his enemies as monsters for war. So it's easier to kill them. So everyone wants to paint people as a monster if they're deserving of whatever consequences. And I think you can still try to understand the monster, and I still think that the monster needs to heal too. Even if he's in prison healing, I want whomever is a monster to heal. Some people are serial killers. Do I want them in jail or prison? Yes. But do I want them to also get help while they're there? Yes. So even though Marcus Houston and Chris Stokes are the perpetrators here, I'd hope all involved could still have a conversation with them for each one of them to get their own closure. All these people are still alive. And has anyone said sorry? Some may say, I don't want to hear no sorry, but when it's sincere, sorry actually really does go far. When you want this pain off of you and the person who stabbed you, gives you a true apology, that goes far no matter what they did. When it's sincere, you feel it. And is it enough? No, of course not. But is it extremely helpful and needed? Absolutely. Especially since they're all alive. I don't know if they are sorry though. So if they're not sorry, then you could keep it. But if they are, then yeah, they should definitely get together and talk and apologize, because that is some tough stuff. And Ray J, being, the Zeus man that he is, he might as well, call them all down, have them on the conversation, okay? Put them on his little show, bring a therapist, they can have a conversation, because we the people want to watch. But no, I'm kidding. They should do that in private. Anyways, side note and honorable mention, all these men are like some type of spiritual, and that's more reason for them to say sorry. But okay, moving on. This topic's just overall makes me want to vomit. Jason was referencing his book a lot where he shared his story, and I personally can't read or watch stuff like that. It's so disgusting. And at what point are people going to hold little Boosie accountable? I mean, I know that has nothing to do with this, but it's just on the topic. Little Boosie said that he got his 12-year-old sons and nephews' penises sucked by grown Adele, tired of prostitute, and the grown Adele and Lil Boosie should be in jail. Like, what the heck is going on here? And as a total side note, I think he said he did it to make sure that they wouldn't grow up to be gay. So that just shows where this man's head is. And apparently, yeah, he's just sick. But on that topic, it just made me think, have most gay men experienced some type of sexual abuse? Have most men in general experienced sexual abuse as younger kids? And if it was a man who sexually abused you, do you grow up to be gay or seemingly gay? Remember, Omarion seemed gay even though he dates women publicly, to the point where his baby mom April went on the show Love and Hip Hop with him to help invalidate those rumors. But honestly, in my opinion, Lil Fizz, Omarion, Marcus Houston, and RazB all seemed gay to me when I was watching them grow up. Not thinking that they actually slept with guys. What I mean when I say seems gay, it just means like they're very pretty and they have like just feminine energy. And even the way that they speak and stand and carry themselves is just not in a manly manner to me. So that's what I mean when I say seems gay. So this has me thinking, are all gay men victims of sexual abuse? Have some of the victims chosen to just embrace it and decided to come out the closet? Are all people in general victims of perversions? I think the latter is the case. We've all been perverted, and some people embrace it, some hide it, some admit it, and some control it. That plays a major role into the lifestyle you choose. And since being gay is acceptable, normal, promoted human behavior, it's seemingly a healthy lifestyle as opposed to, losing it, doing drugs, being suicidal. We're going to stop there for part 1, but definitely check out part 2. It's going to be uploaded right after part 1, probably the following day. So I look forward to seeing you further discuss this topic.